Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another ranking video. This time Roger Waters, the visionary artist, um, founding member of the great Pink Floyd, huge, um, basically captain of the ship during their most narrative driven era and the, post-Sid uh, stuff. Material is the word I'm looking for. And the interesting thing with Roger Waters as a solo artist is he's put out more live sets and soundtracks and bits and bobs like that, one-off singles, than actual studio original material. And so we're gonna put in the live stuff, the official live records, in with the studio stuff, because otherwise it would just be counting down 4 records, which I almost did with this one. Um, just to get it out of the way, though, we're not going to be doing the body, as it's more of a collaborative effort. A lot of people say, oh, that's Roger Waters' debut. Nah, wouldn't say that. Also, not Where the Wind Blows, or When the Wind Blows, rather. That's more of a compilation than an actual solo soundtrack work. Also, his 2005 opera he composed won't be in here because, I mean, he composed it, but he's not singing. It's not really a solo album, and I always struggled to get through that. I did not like that one, but most people wouldn't count it in the solo works anyway. And then lastly, the his narrative that came out in 2018, where he read someone else's story. That won't be included. I have the vinyl of that for some reason, and it's one thing you'll listen to. I think I listened to it a couple times. Probably never listen to it again. It's kind of a collector's item. So anyway, that's enough whinging about. So number 8 is going to be The Wall, and this is obviously the DVD. I don't have a CD copy of this. I was waiting to get the Record Store Day vinyl, but like everything Record Store Day, it's stupidly limited, so you can't get it. Um, so, I mean, it's The Wall front to back with The Tide is Turning on the end there, and there's so many special guests on here. There's longtime collaborators like Andy Fairweather Lowe and Snowy White appearing, but there's also all these kind of guest singers, superstars in their own right, like Cyndi Lauper and Bryan Adams and Van the Man Morrison. Um, so it's an interesting live album, but it none of these versions I would say are definitive versions of the songs off the wall. But it's definitely, I mean, historically, it's really cool that he got to perform this in Berlin, after the wall was torn down in 1990. Um, yeah, the band is on here. That's pretty big. Sinead O'Connor, when she was like really big back then. Cyndi Lauper, like I said, Scorpions. I believe they play the Saragade band. Um, Van the Man, Thomas Dolby. That's funny. He's like the doctor or whatever. Yeah, the Hooters. I don't even know who that is. They're all on there. Okay, so next up, The Wall. Weren't we just talking about The Wall? As brilliant as a man as Roger Waters is, he's kind of been performing The Wall off and on and regurgitating The Wall for most of his career now. And I love when he performs The Wall, but unless I'm seeing it in person, I would rather him do some new material or, dust off the old gems. But this is a cool keepsake to have. Again, I don't have the CD. I just have the Blu-ray copy, and I think watching the visuals with this one is good because you won't throw. Well, me personally, I wouldn't throw this on just to listen to. Because if I wanted to hear The Wall, I would listen to the studio record or the 1980 Is There Anybody Out There, which is a live performance by Pink Floyd of The Wall. That one's really good. They issued that in about 2000, so about 20 years after it was performed. Um, Next up, Us and Them. And this one, you know, it ranks high enough because just listening to it reminds me of when we saw him on this tour. And, you know, it's the first time I ever saw Roger Waters. Maybe the last time, thanks a lot, COVID. But again, it's nicer to watch the Blu-ray. This is the 2 CD copy. But yeah, it's fun to watch with the visuals, and then the nostalgia from seeing that tour comes back even more so. So this is all Pink Floyd favorites. You know, it was the Us and Them tour, the namesake tour. So it's all the Pink Floyd favorites from Dark Side and The Wall, obviously. The Wish You Were Here tracks are on here. Welcome to the Machine, at least. That's the only Wish You Were Here track. And then interspersed with Is This the Life We Really Want, which was the new album at the time. So definitely a good one. Okay, the first appearance of a studio record. These are the pros and cons of hitchhiking. So this is the first proper Roger Waters solo venture, and he got Eric Clapton to help him out on guitar, so that's really cool. It's definitely not a typical studio album or a typical debut. It's not a younger man's record. It's not a record you can sell to the kids. It's very inaccessible. And I believe when he composed this, he also was composing The Wall at the same time and said to the band, okay, you guys choose what we'll record here. Will it be this Wall thing I'm working on or this pros and cons of hitchhiking thing? And I think David and maybe the other guys kind of thought he was crazy, and they're like, okay, let's go with The Wall because we can find more to do musically within this structure than this one. And obviously they made the right choice, but it would have been really interesting if, like, think of how history would be changed if they picked to work on this. You know, they were just judging off his demos and his rough sketches, some of which you can hear on archival material. But yeah, it's an interesting record. You definitely want to play it front to back, because the only really standout track is Every Stranger's Eyes, which is quite beautiful, actually. Not to say the other songs are bad, but it definitely fits. You have to listen to it as one narrative and not, you know, it's not a greatest hits, that's for sure. Number 4 is going to be, again, I have the DVD copy. I don't have the CD. I'd love to get this on vinyl if they ever reissued it. So here's hoping. So he's got Snowy White helping him out on guitar. So that's awesome. You know, Snowy goes way back to when they were doing the Animals stuff in the mid to late 70s there. P.P. Arnold does vocals like she does on the Amused to Death record. What's interesting is this came out in the year 2000, or this tour was in 2000, I believe, or 99, and really it's promoting Amused to Death, which came out 7 years prior. It came out in 92, and you know, there's a few tracks from there. Some of the highlights, like Perfect Sense, which is a great tune. Amused to Death, the title track, It's a Miracle, which is quite devastating. Unfortunately, No Three Wishes. What's my other favorite off that? The Bravery of Being Out of Range. I love that one. Yeah, that one's on here. Yeah, I thought it was. I was looking for it this whole time. And then there's a couple other ones, like The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, Every Stranger's Eyes. And then there's some Pink Floyd favorites that go back as far as Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun from the second Pink Floyd record, which is great. And it's a good rendition. It's really good. Dogs is probably my standout. I mean, I love Animals. On most days, I pick it as my favorite Pink Floyd record. I kind of have 3 that all kind of cycle through. But I love Animals so much, and I love Dogs and Sheep, and yeah, it's cool to see that one performed. So number 3, this is pretty high for the recent one, but I think it works really well as a whole. And the funny thing about this is, I wouldn't really say there are any big highlight tracks that stand out, but to play it front to back, which is kind of what I said for Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, it's a bleak record. Roger has said that the whole message behind it at the end of the day is love, but it's a bleak one, really. Um, Picture that. Obviously calls out Donald Trump. Smell the Roses kind of sounds like 76, Pink Floyd 77, like that era. It's a cool record. Would love to get the LP of this someday. It's usually quite expensive, and Nigel Godrich, who's most known for his work with Radiohead, he helped Roger with this one, and it was the first record that Roger didn't co-produce. He gave all the reins to Nigel and trusted in him, and Nigel did a lot musically too. He played a lot of instruments and that. You know, he's quite a genius. He's proved it with his Radiohead work, and yeah, it's a good record. I really like that one. But though this will surprise people more how high it is. Radio Chaos. And Radio Chaos is a really, it's like the pros and cons. It's not a record that you could sell to the kids. It really failed commercially. And also the production lets it down a little bit. I think this would be looked upon as a complete classic if it had less 80s production, and it's kind of tinkly and lots of keyboards, but very 80s keyboards. But I don't know, something about this one for me really shines through. And yeah, I love the concept is kind of batshit crazy, but you know, it's basically this kid he's in a wheelchair, and he's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to prank the world or get back to the world, but he hacks into a system, or he basically calls into a radio station, but he's hacking into a system, and he basically threatens nuclear war. This is the very you know, abridged version, but you know, it's like, that's not really a good concept for an album, but the songs are there, like they're written really well. You know, Radio Waves was the single. The Tide is Turning is the one most people know. It doesn't even really sound like a Roger Waters song. It doesn't sound like a song from this record, but it's, you know, it comes right at the end after 4 minutes, which is very, you know, bleak. Who Needs Information is a nice one. Me or Him, rather, is great. The first 4 tracks are all classics to me. And then if you flip it over to side B and have Tide is Turning, like, those are probably why this ranks so high. But a lot of people just can't get past the production of this record, or the fact that the tour failed so hard because people were showing up to hear, you know, Dark Side of the Moon and smoke a spliff and, you know, listen to Echoes, and he wasn't playing any of that. He played this front to back with all this interspersed material that was also of this album, like kind of B-side material, to further the narrative. And I think the biggest mistake with this tour and album was to not film the tour, because to watch a DVD of this, it would have been VHS at the time, but a DVD would be incredible. I would have loved to see some footage from that. And also, you know, if this did better, by now there would be a deluxe edition with all those extra tracks, like I think it's called Molly's Song and To Live in LA, and there's all these songs. You can find them on YouTube, but there's like, this record should have almost been double in the length to kind of sell the concept a little bit more and kind of merge all the ideas further together. But yeah, it's, if they ever do that, like a deluxe set, definitive version, then I'm here for it. And then number 1, this one is so far away from the like, those are all great. I love all the Roger Waters stuff, but this is so good, and this rivals some of Floyd's best work, you know. If I was to intersperse the solo efforts of the Pink Floyd guys with the actual Floyd stuff, this would probably rate like 4 or 5. And I just think really highly of this. I think, like a lot of those other ones, it works so well playing it front to back, all 14 tracks in a row. But this one also lends itself to playlists where half these songs are huge in of themselves. Like, a lot of people won't agree because Three Wishes is kind of downtrodden, but that's one of my all-time favorites. Perfect Sense 1 into 2, amazing. Bravery of Being Out of Range is scary and hilarious at the same time. I love that one so much. What God Wants is definitely a highlight. I knew one guy and he wanted Roger Waters to play that so bad when he was playing his Us and Them World Tour, and I kind of knew already that Roger wouldn't be playing anything from this record at all, let alone that song, but I didn't really have the heart to tell him because he's like, maybe he'll pull it out, Andrew, maybe he'll do that one, What God Wants. It's the best Roger Waters song. And it's a good one. It's not my all-time favorite, but it would probably be top 10, I would say. But I like Perfect Sense and Three Wishes even more. And those last three tracks, Three Wishes into It's a Miracle into Amused to Death, like, this is a bleak record, but it's also beautiful in its bleakness. And this, of course, is the kind of deluxe edition that came out in 2015. I remember rushing out to Best Buy or something to buy it day one. I was so excited for this. Like it was a new release or something, but it sounds so good, the remaster. I never had a copy of the old 1992 CD, but I remember when I was getting into Floyd, I got a CD rip rather, and completely legally, of course, and I remember liking it, but it sounded kind of dated, I must admit. And then this fixes all that. This sounds so fresh and so vital. And even the little things, like they put the whole Hal, will you stop Dave, that whole speech is back in Perfect Sense. And they had to, I think they took that out at one point because of copyrights and that, but I guess they got the rights again, or maybe it's public domain because 2001 is such an old movie now. But that's back in there, and everything's just so well produced, and they really gave it a lot of love with the reissue, like the sound quality and everything. And yeah. Anyway, you can tell I'm enthusiastic about my number one pick, as I should be. So let me know what your favorite Roger Waters ones are. I'm definitely leading up to do some Floyd here, and but there's another band member we got to check in with before we do that one. So thanks so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Adios, everyone.